Hey guys, I'm Giselian, and it's to do a little bit more of the Christmas story, seeing it's nearly Christmas. So we left Mary Magdalene and Joseph of Arimathea at the Wattle Church in Glastonbury. Glastonbury, which is also called the Isle of Avalon. And this is where a lot of the Arthurian legends actually came through from, because there's some really interesting parts of Glastonbury. And one of the biggest things is called the Glastonbury thorn. Now this is a thorn tree. In fact, it's three of them, and they're in a perfect triangle. One's on Chalice Hill, one's in Chalice Gardens, which is the Chalice Well, and then one is actually within the abbey itself. And it was always rumoured that the thorns were planted there by Joseph of Arimathea and Mary Magdalene from the crown of thorns that Jesus wore on the cross. And of course, this was always looked upon as a myth until the 70s, when they did the genus of the actual thorn trees themselves and found that it's only found in the actual Middle East. So it does give rise to the fact of, how did it get there? How did this tree, which has been there, for countless years, no one really knows how long, how did it get there? Because there was no real communication at that point. So the trees are amazing, and they, as I say, they form a perfect triangle. Now in Chalice Well, it puts out over 50,000 gallons of water every day, and no one knows the source of where it came from. And it comes out of a lion's head, okay? And people come from miles around with buckets and containers and take this away, and it's all got this beautiful red form because it's with iron. Okay, so the iron oxide is actually within the water, and it has incredible healing properties. And when you go into the Chalice Gardens, there is a big fountain there that comes down in 7 levels, which is interesting, right? And it has 2 trees called Gog and Magog. These 2 huge trees within the gardens itself. If you're ever in Glastonbury, it's a place that you have to go. And as part of Glastonbury Chalice Gardens, there is a house there called Little St Michael's. And in Little St Michael's, in the top of the stair, that very few people know about it, in the very top floor, it's set out for the Last Supper. With the 12 places and all this type of thing. So it really is quite a remarkable place. And it was said that Joseph Arimathea struck his staff into the ground in Chalice Gardens, and out came the spring of water. And it's never failed, not even in drought season, it's never failed. And it was also rumoured there, and this is the song Jerusalem, in England's green and pleasant land. The lyric is about Jesus walking on England's green and pleasant land. But this was the analogy of the saying that it was the boy Jesus was taken there as a child by Joseph of Arimathea. That is the myth. But people didn't travel like that in those days. It's highly unlikely that Joseph of Arimathea took the boy Jesus to Glastonbury as a child, when really we don't even know about him until Jesus' death on the cross. What is more likely is that Joseph of Arimathea and Mary Magdalene, remember, Joseph and Mary is pregnant but not by Joseph. It's likely that she gave birth to a boy, which was Jesus's boy, not the boy Jesus. So this is the next part of the bloodline. And the Priory of Sion, which was a very secret organization, of which Leonardo da Vinci was the Grand Master, and the Knights Templar were looking for the Holy Grail, which is actually the bloodline of Mary Magdalene. They weren't necessarily looking for Mary, because she was past dead by that stage. What we do know is that Mary Magdalene left Glastonbury and went back to Marseille in France, where apparently she died at some other point, but she wasn't with Joseph, which again links into Joseph of Arimathea having very much a different path. So the boy Jesus from there on, or rather Jesus' boy, we know travelled within the United Kingdom. and it's referenced in the Vatican that this person was called Jesus Canolamine. We don't know too much more about him, but we do know that at some point this person was brought back to Rome and actually lived in a place called the House of the Britons. Eventually he was killed. He was stoned to death in a riot. But that's Vatican stuff, okay? And you can read about that in Tony Bushby's book called The Bible Fraud. So there's a lot of information that has been suppressed about the whole Christmas story. So the nativity story of no room at the inn, away in a manger, 3 wise men, the 3 anointing tools of gods, okay, which is the frankincense, myrrh, and gold. All of those things happen after Jesus' death and were not the nativity story of his birth. Okay, as I said before, this story was very, very well known. It was the birth story of Mithras, the birth story of Nero, and actually 5 other gods. Okay, so this is not an unknown story at all, and it was actually assumed by the Catholic Church as being the story of Jesus, the Christ. So we can start to see that, you have to excuse me, my dog is giving off at the moment. Oh my God, she's broody as hell, and she's, hey, stop it! So they're having an argument over a bone at the moment. So that is what I believe. Well, that's a story, of course, because this is for entertainment purposes only, right? But the amount of evidence that there is to suggest what I'm saying is an interesting alternative. It does not take away from, the glory of the energy of Jesus the Christ at all. In fact, if anything, it adds more credence to it. It actually adds more evidence to it, especially when you see these thorn trees. I mean, they're quite remarkable. I'm just trying to learn TikTok, so you have to forgive me, of how to put images up so you can see it. And I've got these images, so at some point I'll probably do another video and just look all very professional by putting images in the background. But this is Simon Giselian. That's the Christmas story. I hope you have a great Christmas. And I know that there are a lot of countries like Germany struggling at the moment because there are people with evil intent that want to suck out the joy of life. And Christmas is a time of joy, and it should be seen as that. And when you have other religions that see that, just that whole joy as an existential crisis, and they wish to destroy it even on the basis of taking their own lives, that is something fundamentally wrong. And I'll be doing a video on that, because we're moving into an area of the world where if we don't get it right, then everyone's going to get it wrong. And I'll do something on that a bit later. So enjoy your Christmas, find that joy, goodwill to all men. Remember that all this is just a story, so don't even bother hating, because I'm not going to respond to any hate. Okay, I'm only going to respond to love, and that's the way of it. So this is Simon Giselian, out to you. Bye bye now.